Oh shit. I forgot to see how long it's been. Hey everybody, welcome to Lord Saunders Smokehouse. It is a beautiful 45-degree morning here in Austin, Texas. And so there's no better way to celebrate a wonderful day than with some good barbecue. So what we're gonna do today is a beef short rib. At the store they call these dino ribs because they are big, I guess. This is a delicious, delicious cut. It's very easy to make on the smoker. You can do it on the pellet smoker, you can do it on the offset. Today, I'm gonna do it on the offset because that's just more fun on a beautiful 45-degree day. But it's, again, the process is very simple. We're gonna get into it. So we're gonna trim it up, we're gonna get it onto the smoker, and then we'll let it ride until it's ready to go. So let's get into it. Some of my favorite things about cooking beef short rib is the fact that it's very easy to trim, season, and cook. It doesn't really have a lot of steps. It's just pretty straightforward and you get a dynamite result. So because this is a prime cut, which means it has a lot of intramuscular marbling, we can just get rid of a lot of this top fat and silver skin and you'll still have tons of juice. This is one of the juiciest cuts you'll have. So I'm just gonna trim this down, get rid of all the silver skin, get rid of all this top fat, and then we'll season it up and get ready to go. All right, so we've got it all trimmed up. We're ready to go. I could do a little more, but I'm gonna go with this. So our rub is super simple. It's gonna be a binder of olive oil, a 60-40 mix of kosher salt and 16 mesh black pepper, and then our Traeger beef rub. I love this stuff, not a sponsorship, just delicious. So what we're gonna do is we are going to give it a nice little rub down. Of course, we're gonna do both sides. Because when this stuff cooks and it shrinks up into it's like skin, oh, it becomes so tasty and delicious. It's like that chewy, crispy deliciousness. Yeah, it's awesome. So we want to season it up so that every bite of this thing is delicious. All right. So with these ribs specifically, I'm a heavy seasoning. I'm a heavy seasoner. You just can't go wrong with the heavy seasoning. I mean, I guess that there are those who would argue that, but those who would argue that are not here, so therefore you can't go wrong with it. Now this is more of a powdery rub, but not really. Obviously, remember, don't rub a rub, you just pat it down. It's actually, I've never had a problem where I wasn't getting good smoke penetration when I use the beef rub, so I really like it. It really allows the salt and pepper to come through. Which is really what we want to do. We want to basically, this is just an enhancement to the salt and pepper, which brings out the flavor of the meat. So obviously we want to taste the meat more than anything else. And we want that to come through. So these flavors, the salt, pepper, and beef rub really kind of bring that out the most. It really just kind of it calls to the surface, the delicious flavor of the meat. So again, I'm going to be very generous here in my seasoning because, well, I've done it enough times to know that this is perfect. The thing about the prime beef cuts here are the prime cut, but the short rib versus the brisket. This is basically, I hate to say it like this, but it's a better brisket. It tastes like a brisket, because it's a similar part of the beef, blah, 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 but it's a better brisket. So this cut right here, which depending on how you cut it and, serve it, can usually serve 2 to 4 adults comfortably, but this will cost the same as a full packer brisket. And that packer brisket, depending on how you trim it, can feed, 4 to 8 to 10. So, if not more with leftovers. So, it's an expensive cut. This is an expensive cut. And also they're not super easy to find. If you're lucky and you live near a Costco, they sell them in 2 packs for about the price of 1. I got this one at our local grocery store called H-E-B, whom I love. And I got 1 for the price of that. I can usually get 2 for the price of at Costco. However, in this case, I tend to find that the H-E-B ones can often be more supple and delicious. They're thicker. So, trade-offs here and there. Okay, now we're ready to get it on the smoker. So we're going to put it on the smoker at 275 for about 4 hours. Then we're going to rotate it. We're going to spritz it if necessary every 30 minutes or so. And then we're going to let it cook until it gets to about 185 internal. We're going to wrap it, and then we're going to put it back on the smoker. Actually, since I'm doing it at the house, I'm going to put it in the oven, let it finish in there, and when it's probe tender, reaching 203-ish, then we'll pull it out and let it rest. So let's get this thing on the smoker. All right, so we've got it on the smoker now. It's going to rock at about 275 for the next 4 hours. After that, we'll check about every 30 minutes to see if we need to spray. Sometimes with these, you really don't need to. So we'll get up to about 185 internal. Start to get some nice good fat render. Then we'll take it off. We'll wrap it. We'll put it in the oven to finish it off today so we don't have to burn more fuel. And then we'll just let it cook until it's done, probe tender, and then we'll let it rest. So we'll see in about 4 hours. All right, it's been about 4 hours, a little more than 4 hours. Time to open her up, see how she's looking, and see if we need to spray. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Nice. All right, she's looking pretty good. Super moist. But I do see some areas where it could use a little more. All right, not all the way tender yet, which is to be expected. This will usually about a 7 to 10 hour cook. So we'll give it a quick spritz, some of those areas. Give it a little turn. Oh yeah, this baby's feeling nice. Got a little crispy there, no problem. All right, and since we're here, let's give it a quick temp test. Ooh, that feels so nice. Going right in. 164, 173. All right, we're cooking with gas here, folks. We're gonna wanna come back to about, that's 180, but yeah, we're almost there. So at about 185, we'll wrap this guy and get it inside. So we'll keep going, and we'll be back in about 30 minutes for a spray and about an hour for another temp check. All right, so we're back. It's been about 7 hours. I've been checking it. Doesn't really need a lot of spritzing. So we're gonna check it now, see where we're at, see if it's time to wrap, and just check on the ribs in general. So, oh man, that looks awesome. So let's check the temps. Oh man, this just feels like butter. It's just going right in, no resistance. 177, 178, 179. This, I mean, 180. This is perfect. So at this time, now we're gonna wrap it, and since I'm at home doing this for family and friends, we will put this in the oven to finish cooking. We're gonna wrap it, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now we're temped perfect. It feels great. Fat is rendered. Now we need to wrap it to finish the cook. So we're gonna get our Wagyu beef tallow, and why do we do this? Because when you taste something that's so juicy, it's because of all the fat. That's actually the moisture that you're feeling. So we're gonna get the Wagyu beef tallow, we're gonna lay it down, and then we'll wrap it with the beef tallow. This is what I call forbidden frosting. So we're gonna put on here a liberal amount of tallow, not too much, don't need a huge area. Look at that, looks like a meteor, which means we're doing it right. So now that we have it here, we're gonna put this meat side on here. That way when we wrap it, it's gonna have that tallow right on top of that. So we're gonna wrap this. We have meat side down, meat side up. Nice, good, tight wrap. All right, so now to save fuel and time, I'm gonna actually put this in my oven at 275 until it's done, really. It'll probably take 1 to 2 hours. So we're gonna get this in there. We'll let it cook up to about 203, but again, as always, we're gonna check the probe tenderness. When it's probe tender, reaching around that 203-degree mark, maybe sooner, then we'll take it out, let it rest, and slice in. So let's move on, let's get it in the oven. All right, so it reached 185. We wrapped it with the tallow, put it in the oven at 275 until we reached an internal temperature of about 205. A little more than I wanted, but man, that probe went in. Butter, peanut butter, tender. So what I did was I pulled it out, let it rest for 45 minutes. It took 45 minutes on the counter to get to a temperature of about 150, 160 in there, depending on where you probed it. So that's perfect. So you really want to do that. It's an excruciating wait because you just want to get it resting and you want to get it in there. Don't do it. Let it cool down, then stick it into the oven or your cooler or your warmer, whatever you have. Do that afterwards. The reason is if you take it straight from the oven to the warmer, you can have the risk of carryover cooking. And what happens in the case of a brisket, you just kind of pot roast it. It doesn't really have that brisket profile that you're looking for. So in all your foods, let it cool down just a little bit before you actually let it rest. So once we did that, once I let it cool down to about 165-ish, I'm sorry, 150, 160, I put it in a 170-degree oven, and I've had it there for 2 hours. With a beef short rib, you can do 1 hour. I went ahead and did 2. So let's get it out, let's slice it up, and enjoy the juice. Let's do this. Real time, I just ruined my new shoes. I got beef juice all over it. This is awesome. Damn it. Another real-time update. It's so tender that I unwrapped it and immediately the bone fell off. So there we go. Oh my goodness, this thing is so tender. Look at that. Oh. I mean, man, the fat's just giving way. This thing is insane. All right, so now we're ready to slice into this guy. Now, I was able to get it here without the bones falling out, but that won't last for much longer. So let's get this nice, juicy beef rib a slice. And I'm using my trusty bread knife, what I got from Amazon. Oh man, look at that bark. Woo! Great smoke ring, absolutely. All right, I will cut this one off as if the other bone was still there. So we get that nice big beef rib hero shot. So check this out. Look at that beautiful smoke ring. Totally marbled, juicy. This thing is amazing. Now, if it doesn't already slide off, this one actually had some a decent sized membrane on it. But a lot of times, I mean, this thing will just slide right out, no problem. And then we'll slice this up. So at restaurants, a lot of times they'll just give you a whole beef rib, and that's cool. But if you're serving at home, look, I mean, clean. If you're serving at home, I find that it's easiest to just cut this up into slices and let everyone grab a piece. A lot of times I'll bifurcate this right here and kind of separate the two halves. But then I'll just go in and I'll slice. I mean, it's just falling apart. This is beautiful. Beautiful. Look at this. I mean, the intramuscular marbling here is just, I mean, the slightest pressure and juice comes out. It's awesome. As I always say, somebody's got to test this for poison and make sure it's safe for consumption. I will be that sacrifice. Oh, my goodness. Man, the smoke penetration is awesome. Super smoky. The salt and pepper mixture, super great penetration. The interesting thing is it's like, it's melt in your mouth, delicious, but kind of like with the pork belly brisket, it falls apart, but it has like a structure to it. So you're not just getting like a mouthful of mush. It's awesome. So, quick recap of what we've done. Trimmed, seasoned, smoker for 275 until it reaches an internal temperature of about 185. Now, at the 4-hour mark, I rotated it at 180 degrees, began spraying as needed. I only needed to spray it once. It's just so much juice, it was fine. Then, once it reached 185, we pulled it off. We wrapped it with the tallow in the wrap, got it back into an oven. I could have put it back on the smoker, but since I'm doing this at home, I'm just going to save the fuel and do it here. We're going to go until this reaches 203. That could be 1 to 2 hours or more. Pull it out, let it cool down, then we let it rest for 1 to 2 hours. From there, slice and enjoy. It is amazing. I can't wait to hear how yours comes out. Let me know, put it down there in the comments. Send me a text, send me an email, whatever the way you know how to get a hold of me is. Let me know how yours goes. Thanks for coming.